Welcome to this video module where we will be looking at the single word spelling test and the reports that come from it. Single word spelling test has been used in paper form for some years. The digital option was added a few years ago, so where it says new, this is referring to the upgrades that were added in the move to digital. However, the more important point to note is that single word spelling test does provide you with a large amount of diagnostic information about your students. So let's have a look at some of the reports. I'm going to be using sample data for this. Here we have a breakdown of the school's demographic. As you can see, we have the overall results for the various groups in the school. In this case, gender, ethnicity, free school meals, special needs, English as an additional language, and finally, this school has chosen to use a custom field to include postcodes. This is a free choice in terms of what is recorded in a custom field. So, for example, if this is a secondary school, it could equally have opted to include the names of the feeder primaries in this field. In the columns, you can see that we have both the raw score, i.e. what the actual score in the test was, as well as the standard age score, or SAS, and remember that the average standard age score is always 100. Let's put more detail on this now. The format of this report may well appeal to those of you who prefer a visual representation rather than simply numerical data, but remember we are still looking at group level. As with all our reports, there is always a comparison against national performance. In this report, the solid line that looks like a sort of symmetrical hill is the national average, and against this the dotted line shows the school's own scores. The bars show the numbers and standard age scores for children within each stannine, and in this example broken down further by gender, so we can see how the boys compare with the girls. Underneath are the actual numbers involved. The next report takes this a stage further, and this time we have numbers and standard age scores for all the various groups within the school's demographic, those same groups that we saw in one of the earlier reports. Now we move on to look at the results by spelling level, again with comparison against the national average. We can see the number of questions at each level and a comparison showing the percentage that the students got correct. This chart shows the score for each individual question, but here they are listed by order of difficulty. The bars are the school's actual scores, and the solid line is the national percentage got correct for each question. This report is looking at that same information, but this time showing the target word for each question. Again, a national percentage is shown. Here we are getting data on the actual spelling levels that the children have attained and spread across the various bands. Now we can start to drill down from school level to the individual students within the group, enabling us to identify quickly and accurately exactly how each student is doing, and from that to identify those that need help and intervention. We can see each student's age as well as their standard age score, together with their percentile ranking, i.e. how they compare with their peers nationally, their ranking within the group, and their spelling age. Having looked at the scores both at school level as well as individual, we can now start to look at year-on-year progress by comparing two assessments that were administered a year apart. Bearing in mind that a standard age score of 100 is the average, through this comparison we can easily see whether a student has made average, above average, or below average progress through the year. Again, the same information is shown in a more graphical format for you. And finally, we have the progress shown on a chart. Each dot represents a pupil, and the solid lines show the average or standard age score of 100. Read from the horizontal axis to see the pupil's first score, and then look at the vertical axis to see the subsequent score. If this is above the upper dotted line, then the progress has been above average. Similarly, if the score is below the lower dotted line, then the progress has been below average. And finally, this progress is shown on a chart with all the students within the group listed by name. The last two columns are particularly useful in terms of an accurate measure of progress, plus or minus, and an indication of each student's progress category, upper, as expected, or lower. I hope you enjoy using single word spelling test and find it very useful with your students. Thank you.